Alright, we're going to go ahead and go through the workflow for taking a part that you've created in Inventor and then putting it into the CAM program and assigning toolpaths and eventually creating the G-code you need to run, in this case on the Tormach mill, but basically any CNC. So as we go through this, we're going to go ahead and move up into this first model browser right here, and you get in a couple different choices. If you go to the CAM tab right here, it's going to show you, I don't have any operations right now. Model is obviously everything it took to create this part, and then we can just kind of go from there. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Click over here to CAM. First thing we want to do is we want to go to Job, and we want to go to Setup. So the first thing we want to do is say, hey, how big is this part to start with? And we want to assign where the 0 is going to be at for our CNC machine. So I usually start with setup. I come over here to that first stock icon right here, and you know, you can do fixed size. Relative size works, you know, pretty good. What it does is it takes it from, you know, what you've drawn. So it just says if it's, you know, a block to start with. Well, in this case, we've already made it, so yeah, it will be. But we don't want any offsets. We're going to make sure it's exactly the same size to start with. And then you just hit OK. Nope, sorry, don't hit OK yet. My bad. Come over back over here to the setup tab, because right now this is like my 0 is like in the middle of the part right here. It's kind of a weird place. Let's pick the top left corner. And as I do that, you'll see my x-axis is right, but my z-axis, that should be up and down. These should be flipped. Yours might look a little different, but come down to model orientation, select z-axis. So z-axis first. If you can get an edge of your part that is traveling in what I would call the correct z-axis, you can just click it like that. And now my x is the correct way and my y is the correct way. Everything's good. So this 0 would be in the upper left-hand corner. We can hit OK, and now we have that set up. So now that we have the setup done, we can go ahead and we can assign toolpaths. Now, this is, for the most part, you'll be using the drilling toolpath, the 2D milling. There's some more toolpaths here. 3D milling, not so much. Multi-axis turning, that's for later on, you know. So for the most part, this is where most of your life's going to live. So let's just go ahead, and this is what we call a pocket in here. These obviously are holes, and this outside lip could be considered a pocket, or it can be considered a contour. It's kind of up to you. So I'm just going to start with 2D pocket, tool, and I only have a few tools set up. I'm going to go ahead and use that tool number 3, and I'll hit select. And now I've already created all those tools prior, so everything is already correct in the speeds and feeds, so that's nice. Next, we want to select what it is we want to machine. I like to click the bottom face of what it is that I want to machine. And then I can come over to the next tab, which is the heights. Everything else, all these 3 tabs can basically stay all the same except for the bottom height. I like to use selection right here, and I like to come and I like to click. This is how deep the tool is going to go for this pocket. Click it, and if you can see, it sets it off 3/8 of an inch. Perfect. I like it. Next, over here is passes. So this kind of just says, hey, how much do I want to take in a pass? I like to use multiple depths if we're going to be cutting aluminum or metal or things like that. This says, how much do you want to take off at a time? Well, I like 50 thousandths. This says, how much do you want to leave for a finishing step down? I'm not too concerned about my surface finish, so I can use the same for that. I don't need any stock to leave, so depending on if that sets. So really all I need here is multiple depths, all of those checked right here, and we don't even need this one. I was just kind of double checking that. So a check mark in here, 50 thou, everything else should be pretty much good to go. One more click over is if you want to do any fancy stuff like lead ins and lead outs. Ramps, if you want to ramp anything, as it was kind of a cool deal. You can use helix. There's lots of different ways to go in there. Helix is probably the most efficient for aluminum, that's for sure. And if you just kind of keep everything the same, that's fine. And we'll go ahead and hit OK. And what that does is put the path and the profile in there. And if you get it to come up with this, that's basically showing you toolpath motion. So if you have that, that's good, and you're ready to move on. If you want to take a look at it right now, you just click Simulate, and you know you can keep the tool on, keep the tool path on if you want. I always click Stock, so it shows it like taking it out, and then hit play over here, and that'll kind of show it's not cutting. Now it's cutting. Take all that stuff, and you can see it's pretty much good to go. It's aluminum, so it's a little slower, obviously, so it's going to take a little while because it's a pretty good sized little pocket that you're trying to mill out of there on this little Tormach that we're using. So close that. First tool path, we're good to go. From here, if you want to create another tool path like drilling, just hit drill, select your tool. This time we're going to go with a 1/4 inch flat end mill. It's center cutting, so I can use an end mill to do drilling. Come over here to hole faces, and I can just kind of click that, click that, click that. I can come over to the next one that says, hey, how deep you want to go. Same thing, bottom height of the hole, selection, and make sure you're selecting the bottom of the hole. 1/8 of an inch deep, I like it. One more over. This is kind of cool. Remember our drilling cycles are G81, 82, 83. So we can go and we can do like a chip breaking one if we want to. And we can say the peck depth at like 20 thou. And I'd say that looks good. Hit OK. And now you have tool path for your drilling cycle. Again, you already know how to simulate, so I'm going to skip that step, and we're going to go into the last but not least to show you one more path. We could probably do a pocket on this lip, but let's try 2D contour to start with. That's good for doing lettering and stuff like that. Let's give that a whirl. We're going to go to, oh man, you know what? I think I would rather have a different tool right there. I'm going to edit that tool real quick. I think what I wanted there, I'm not sure if this is the right tool, and don't really follow along on this one. I'm just going to put this in here real quick. You want to select whatever your 1/8 inch tool is. I can't remember what tool number that is, but just select the one that's an 1/8 inch. That's going to work better for you. So 1/8 inch end mill, select that guy. All right, so whatever tool number that is, go with it. Next up, click over here. It says what is it? What do you want to do? I actually only need to do one path because this is an 1/8 inch tool, 1/8 inch pathway. Select that inside path like that. Don't really need anything else on that tab. Can come over here. Guess what? Bottom height, same deal. You want to get in there and get the bottom of that groove. 1/4 inch deep. That works. Again, it's a tiny little tool we're using here, so we want to go multiple depths. And we're going 40 thou. Defaults to 40 thou right now. And I think we can leave that. I can't remember what that one has actually. Let's change that to 20. Finishing step down. Again, I don't care about a finishing step down. So those are the only two we're going to do. We'll come over here to this one. We're going to ramp it again. Everything else can stay. We'll keep lead in, lead outs just so I can show you some stuff on that. And hit OK. And now if you look in there, you can see multiple tool paths in there. Let's see what this whole thing looks like by clicking Setup and going Simulate. And over here to play. You can make it run faster by clicking this little button over here. Tool change in a second. Hits the drills. I like it. I like it. I like it a lot. Quite a few passes, but that's a little end mill, guys. That's it. Close that out. If everything looks good, in which case it does, the last step for you to do is to post this code. So we come over to posting the code and we go to post process. And I'm not sure where yours is going to go to right now, to be honest. What you want to do is click in here, and you want to find the one that says HASS, HASS.cp. That's the one you want. If you want to put a comment in here, you could put in maybe like your initials or something. That'll show. Other than that, I think everything should pretty much stay the same, or put 1001 in for the program, either or. Hit post. It's going to try to save that. Make sure you know where that location's at. And once that saves, it brings up this handy dandy little place. And look at that. All your G&M code is created for you. I'm going to do one more step here and click backplot and open the backplot window. This is pretty cool. This is kind of like CNC base. So you see where this is gray? If you arrow down on the keyboard, it shows you all your tool paths. And what I like about this is I know we just looked at it on Inventor, but this is the code that the machine's going to run. So we really want to make sure that's right. And if you take a look, this is pretty much all your G&M codes right here, running with your coolant on and your tool changes and your height offsets, and we can just double check everything from there. And if it's good, we can do a save as. We can put it on a jump drive and we can run it. So that's your process. Hopefully, the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you'll learn to like it. InventorCAM.